Hello, everyone. I am Shreyoshi, and welcome back to episode 2 of Behind the Bench series. Today, I'm going to show you a little bit of what I do in a lab almost on daily basis. So, I work with both peptides and plant extracts, but today I'm going to show you how I prepare my extracts to do my MICs and combat the escape pathogens. So, first of all, I take some leaves, some of the dried leaves of Agent Marmelos and Moringa, and weigh them first. So, okay, for the next step, I'm going to crush these leaves into fine powder, for which we will be using some liquid nitrogen. So, the next thing I do is put all my weight leaves in the mortar and pestle. Since we are using liquid nitrogen, so we use a mortar pestle made of stone so that the glass won't okay. And the next step is putting some liquid nitrogen. For doing this particular step of the experiment, we need to do it under wood, and it should be done after taking a proper training and under proper guide. Once the leaves are crushed, they are passed through a sieve in order to ensure that uniform size particles are getting into my extraction. Followed by that, I put some of the crushed passed on leaves on methanol and keep it for 3 days, and we call this step as maceration. Wait into it to make sure that it stirs very slowly for the rest of the 3 days, and we call this step as maceration. So after the 3 days maceration, all the secondary metabolites are now in the methanol. So now the next step would be to differentiate the liquid based on their polarity, and the preliminary or the first step to do would be the liquid-liquid partitioning using this tool, using a separatory funnel. In order to separate the compounds based on their polarity, I'm going to add some chloroform to it first. Equal amount of chloroform. So after putting chloroform into the separatory funnel, I'm going to give it a good mix. So in order to ensure that everything is mixed properly and release any kind of air that has been built up with. So we are going to give it a good mix. So after shaking, we give it a few minutes time to settle down, and then we will take out the separated extract. As you can see here, there are two distinctive layers that is getting separated. So once it separates properly, we slowly open it to take out the lower part of the extract. It should not be done very fast because it might trap more gas bubbles and there might be some mixture coming up. So once we have separated the compounds based on their polarity, I take one of the separated compounds. Here we have all the possibly polar compounds, and we take it to concentrate in a rota evaporator. So concentrating is basically eliminating all the methanol from the liquid so that we are left with just the pure extract. So here is the rota evaporator mesh. The liquid is concentrated in the rota evaporator, there is still a trace amount of methanol left. So in order to ensure that there is a complete elimination of the methanol and we don't have even a trace amount of it, we next go to this dryer. Here you can see some of my samples are being dried. So when they're dried, we use them for my preliminary screenings, the MICs, which we will show you in the next step. So here our plant extracts are ready. So now I will be doing MICs, which is minimum inhibitory concentration experiment. Now this experiment is going to tell me the minimum concentration of any drug or the extract that has been capable of killing the bacteria. So let's begin. Here are already prepared bacterial culture in the NH broth, and now we'll start with the experiment. It will be Now this is my finished extract, and I'm going to use it as the drug to check if it should inhibit the bacteria. Plates are completely ready. Now we are going to seal it and keep it for an incubation of 24 hours to check the results. When I was starting this project, I had a full idea that this project would be strictly microbiology. But as I proceed with the project, especially with the purification of secondary metabolite, it involves a lot of chemistry. So this is something I was not expecting at the beginning of PhD, and now I am using a set of chemistry experiments like using HPLC, NMR, and a series of LCMS experiments trying to synthesize peptide using solid phase peptide synthesis. So these things came as shocking, but yes, I'm learning few new things and I am really excited about it. The aim of this project is to come up with the broader aim of the project is to come up with a solution to combat AMR. But at this point, I am really hoping to find at least one peptide and one compound from the plant extract that could help to combat the escape pathogens. So this is the overall goal of my project for this 3-year PhD program. So I am hoping to develop a very good peptide and probably one molecule from a secondary metabolite which could help us to combat antimicrobial resistance, which has been a global challenge that we are facing now. And my project, hopefully, if with God's grace, I think this project will help me to contribute in this field of AMR, and we could go one step ahead to solve this bigger problem.
Thank you for joining us today on the Behind the Bench series. I hope you have enjoyed Shreyoshi's walk through the lab. Join us next week to hear more about her research. Bye.